Ferdinand Piëch, entrepreneur, engineer, manager, and grandson of the famous Ferdinand Porsche, founder of the Porsche company. Going from a regular designer to the head of the company, Piëch became known for his tough character and a very challenging temperament. In the 90s, when he took over as CEO of Volkswagen, the company was going through tough times. Volkswagen was in a severe crisis, suffering significant losses. Taking charge of the company, Piëch had to quickly cut costs, and the most effective measure in such situations is employee layoffs. However, he took a different approach. Instead of laying off ordinary workers, he dismissed almost the entire management of the company, firing everyone who was in any way involved in the mistakes that led the company into a loss-making state. By dealing with the inefficient management and incompetent directors, Piëch led the company out of the crisis within a few years and turned it profitable. This was far from the only victory for the talented manager. Long before the events described, he had already gained fame as an outstanding motorist. As the creator of the Porsche 917 racing car, a winner at Le Mans, he was one of those who came up with the full-time four-wheel drive Quattro and propelled the Audi company to the leaders of the premium segment with the A8 model. Additionally, under his leadership, the most insane hypercar of the early 21st century, the Bugatti Veyron, was created. In automotive history, this man holds the highest positions and enjoys unquestionable authority. But Piëch had other projects. Interesting, large-scale, ambitious projects. The Volkswagen Phaeton is one such project, an underestimated masterpiece with a very complicated fate. In the mid-1990s, Ferdinand Piëch seemingly conceived the impossible. He decided to encroach on the premium segment, releasing a competitor to such recognized cars as the Mercedes S-Class. BMW 7 Series, Audi A8, and Lexus LS. It was a challenging task, but quite achievable, given the enormous resources of the already wealthy conglomerate at that time. They approached the matter seriously, with scope and scale. No effort or money was spared in designing the new car because Piëch himself would oversee the development. The prototype alone of the future car became the most expensive in the history of Volkswagen, because the head of the conglomerate was constantly dissatisfied with the work of the designers, whether it was the deflectors, decorative elements, or something else. Only after making the prototype fully functional, with all buttons pressed, knobs turning, and everything moving and working, did Piëch say, "Now everything's right." It was the highest praise that could only come from the boss. The future premium Volkswagen had to be maximally technological, not lagging behind and even surpassing competitors. The body was made of various alloys, and engine options ranged up to 12 cylinders. For safety and better power delivery, all-wheel drive was mandatory. The suspension, of course, was pneumatic, and of course, the equipment list had to outshine any competitor. The best minds from throughout the conglomerate were selected to work on this premium Volkswagen. The most experienced and talented designers were involved. The process was launched, but work was boiling not only in the design office. Parallel to the car's design, an equally large-scale action began in the city of Dresden. Especially for the new premium model, the construction of the unique plant began in the city, one that had no analogs in Europe. Almost in the center of Dresden, a huge building made of glass and metal was erected, remarkable for its architecture, with its elevators, special lifts, viewing platforms, and panoramic windows. Such a structure did not look like a typical factory. Everything in it was unusual. It was supposed to become not just an assembly plant, but a new landmark for the city. Almost at the completion of the plant's construction, the development of the car also concluded. The world saw a huge sedan, over 5 meters in length, with a luxury interior and intriguing features. Under the hood of the luxury Volkswagen, you would find not only 6- and 8-cylinder engines, but also a quite rare diesel in its concept. A 5-liter 10-cylinder diesel engine developed 313 horsepower with a torque of 750 newton-meters. But the pinnacle in the engine lineup was the unique W12. Please don't confuse it with a V12. It's specifically W12. This is how V12 works, and this is how W12 works. Agree there is a difference. An engine of this kind, where cylinders are arranged in a chessboard pattern, was only installed on a car from the VW group. This engine was the pride of the conglomerate. The naturally aspired 6-liter power unit produced 420 horsepower and delivered 550 newton-meters. It took the nearly 2.5-ton limousine 6 seconds to accelerate to 100 kilometers an hour. A splendid result. But dynamics is not the main focus in such cars. The excellent engine was complemented by an all-wheel drive transmission and the mandatory air suspension for a luxury car, which would be adjusted not only in stiffness, but also in height. The list of standard equipment, however, is simply endless. Leather, natural wood, multimedia with huge number of speakers everywhere. Solar panels are built into the sunroof, and their energy allows ventilating the cabin in the summer heat when the car, for example, waits for its owner in the parking lot. Ventilation systems and back massage on all seats. The rear seat is composed of 2 luxurious chairs, and nearby there's a refrigerator, a phone, and a bunch of other extras. The customer could choose any configuration as there was an abundance of luxury features. The new premium Volkswagen was named the Phaeton, and it also had its own story. Phaeton used to refer to open horse-drawn carriages and cars with a soft convertible top. But nonetheless, the car Phaeton was named after the son of the ancient Greek god of the sun, Helios. According to legend, the young Phaeton came to his father Helios, and to prove that he was the son of a god, Phaeton decided to ride across the sky on his father's solar chariot. Unfortunately, it all ended tragically, but more on that later. The car assembly process and the factory itself are as interesting as the car. The futuristic building is called the Glass Manufactory, and it's pure fantasy. Since the manufactory is located in the center of Dresden, they decided to forego noisy and cumbersome trucks delivering parts. Instead, a special railway was laid, on which a quiet and environmentally friendly trams brought everything needed. Inside, parts are delivered to the assembly line by special automated carts. The assembly line itself is also unique. Wooden flooring, all workers in white overalls, pleasant music playing. Everywhere, there's glass and beautiful stone. Cleanliness like in an operating room. Even the noise in the assembly workshop is minimal due to specifically designed assembly techniques. Everything was done to make it as comfortable as possible for workers and visitors to the plant. Comfort was crucial because the plant was not only an assembly plant, but also a museum. Anyone willing to pay a certain amount could get a tour of the assembly line. Inside the building, there is a luxurious restaurant, a bistro, and a branded Volkswagen clothing store. The plant was open to any visitor, but the main focus was, of course, on customers who ordered a car for themselves. Each car was created based on an individual order. The future owner would come to the configuration hall, where they could choose everything: the color of the car, alloy wheels, the type of leather, and the type of wood for the interior, their color and texture. Engine, drive, everything accounted to the customer's choice. Two identical cars simply did not exist. Each customer received an individual approach. So the Volkswagen Phaeton went on sale in 2002 and immediately fell into the hands of journalists, who promptly began comparing and testing it against competitors: Mercedes S-Class, BMW 7 Series, Audi A8. The Phaeton encountered these luxurious sedans. The BMW 7 Series and the Audi A8 were more sporty in their characteristics. Owners of these cars, when switching from the luxurious rear seat to the driver's seat, wouldn't disappoint either. But the Mercedes S-Class and the Phaeton, these cars were about comfort. The air suspension of the Phaeton endowed it with astonishing ride smoothness. Even Mercedes didn't always have the best ride. In many comparative tests, the Phaeton often outperformed individual competitors in the combination of positive qualities: interior finishing, the number of options, ride smoothness, sound insulation, and dynamics. In test comparisons, the Phaeton was never the underdog, and the reviews from real owners confirm the high quality of Volkswagen's luxury. Maintenance was cheaper, comfort was at the highest level, and reliability was no worse, if not better, than the other cars mentioned above. In service centers, every Phaeton customer was treated like royalty, like a god. The price of the Phaeton was particularly impressive. It was significantly lower than that of competitors, making it the best offer in terms of price and quality ratio. Ferdinand Piëch could be proud of himself and the development team. The car turned out to be truly worthy. But there is always one significant but. The Phaeton became the most luxurious and high-tech Volkswagen in the entire history of the brand. It was the first executive-class car in more than 70-year history of the conglomerate. It was purchased by people who did not want to flaunt their wealth, and the government procured Phaetons for officials. Even the Chancellor of Germany drove a Phaeton, and rumor has it, was extremely satisfied with the car. However, all this publicly led to nothing. To the immense regret, the Phaeton repeated the fate of the youth Phaeton from ancient Greek legend. Phaeton was the son of the god of the sun, Helios. According to legend, no one believed the young Phaeton that his father was the god of the sun. So he went to his father and asked him to let him fly across the sky on his golden chariot. Helios did not want to give his son the chariot, tried to dissuade Phaeton, as the horses were tricky and only obeyed their master. But Phaeton was adamant. Helios had no choice but to agree. His father ordered him to hold the reins tightly and not deviate from the path. But as soon as the chariot soared into the sky, the horses felt an inexperienced hand. They rushed, turned away from their usual path. Phaeton got scared and let go of the reins. The uncontrolled horses rushed to the ground. The flames from the sun chariot, which had come down so close, engulfed the earth. Terrible fires broke out on the ground. Zeus, the god of thunder and lightning, saw all this, and to save everyone on Earth, threw his shining lightning and extinguished the fire. However, the chariot broke, and Phaeton, like a falling star, fell lifeless into the waters of the river Eridanos. Similarly to Phaeton in the legend, the Phaeton, the car, could not appreciate its strength and succumbed to entrenched stereotypes. Convincing people of the uniqueness of their product was extremely challenging for Volkswagen, and their great disappointment, Phaeton sales left much to be desired. The Volkswagen brand was always associated with solid, reliable, and quality cars, but they were always affordable. For some, paying 90,000 euros for a Volkswagen was unthinkable, even if it was the epitome of a supercar. For some, it looked like an oversized landing. People were not in a hurry to spend money on a car without a luxury pedigree. Volkswagen planned to sell 20,000 Phaetons every year, but in 15 years, only 84,000 cars were sold, which is only about 5,500 cars per year. A disaster for the conglomerate. Losses amounted to over 2 billion euros. On March 18, 2016, the last Phaeton rolled off the assembly line at the glass factory in Dürstedt. And that was the end of its story. A year before that, Ferdinand Piëch himself stepped down from his post. He left the company due to disagreements with other top managers. Piëch did not like the policy of the company's CEO, who said that cars like the Phaeton were not needed by the conglomerate. This led to the conflict and subsequent departure. Thus, two legends left the company: the car which was one of the best premium sedans in Europe, and its creator, the most outstanding manager of the 20th century, a person who transformed Volkswagen into a huge global corporation.